How do you build trust so deep that your clients let go of control?
At the end of the day, all it comes down to results. As long as you can get the results. We had a client tell us years ago, she said, look, I'm just going to micromanage you until I don't. And I said, that's fair enough. That's reasonable.
When somebody hires you and your team, what is the first thing you're looking in the company, in the business, so that you can say, okay, we start from here? What's the usual beginning?
Typically, we're going to look at the pre, during, and post-sale activities. And we're going to look at just the continuity of the front end, the process, and the back end. The reality is 90% of your sales are going to come on the back end of you meeting somebody.
When it comes to nurturing and when it comes to building a long relationships with clients, when do you feel it's the right time to make significant offer to them? Is it some template so that you know, like, okay, we gave them so many times in the past, probably now is the right time? Or you actually have established a certain process, how you go step by step and you gradually give higher and higher offers?
Yeah, well, you as the expert, again, you know a specific pain points or the trigger opportunity. And then what you want to do is just make sure you're always looking for behaviors and proximity. That's the thing we're always looking at, behaviors and proximity. We do a very simple process that we call ABC.
Working with so many people and changing their businesses, what are the typical lies they say to themselves in order to scale the business? Where the confidence comes from then? From your knowledge that you know how to execute certain stuffs and your skills, or it comes from your past results? How much of a mindset play a role in leading sales teams and people to execute this on the best possible way? Guys, I need to say something. We're building something really special here. The level of guests, the conversations, the depth we are going in week by week, it's becoming better and better, more and more valuable. But there is one thing which doesn't make any sense. Almost 90% of you who keep watching the episodes, who keep coming back week by week, are not subscribed yet. Which means one thing, you're not fully part of that journey. I get it. It's one click. It feels small. But for us, and myself personally, means everything. It tells the algorithm that we matter, it helps us reach bigger guests and create better and better podcast episodes, which at the end of the day are equally for myself like for yourself. They bring the value. So if there was ever a moment to support us, I please you to do it right now. Check if you're subscribed, and if you're not, it's completely free. It doesn't mean to you that much like it means to us. Just click the subscribe button, and by that way, you will help us grow bigger and bigger. And what I can promise you is that me and my team will continue making improves and very soon move ourselves to the real studio where we will record even more powerful episodes with same and new guests. Check, are you subscribed? And subscribe right now. Thank you. Jim Padilla, welcome to the show. It's my pleasure to have you. And before I even ask deeper with my questions, which I prepared here, I want to ask you, what is your current mission? And prior to that, why?
Yeah, jumping right into that. We are on a mission to set founders free from their business. I've been building sales teams, high performance teams, and businesses for 30 years plus. And I have yet to meet a business owner who got in business for the purpose of chasing leads and sales. They built a business to deliver a product or to solve a problem, to create a movement of some kind. And then somehow the business started trapping them. And now they spent 20 years running a business instead of pursuing their goals and dreams. And what we've recognized is that when sales is done right, when companies are built right, and they're designed to generate the revenue that delivers the kind of freedom and wealth that you got in business in the first place, then all of a sudden, people start remembering the dreams that they had and the goals that they had, because now their company is actually running and generating revenue and profit, and they can start pursuing their movements and their missions. And that is what we are here for as a business. But even deeper than that, what really drives us is we have a mission that we're working on called the Opportunity Cities. And Opportunity Cities is something that was born from my background and my wife's, in that I was born in an abusive environment, was in foster care, was in gangs as a teenager, and in jail by 19. And, I spent the first 20 years of my life having to read the room and really learn how to assess and always move people in my direction so that they wouldn't want to hurt me. That was how I stayed alive. And of course, been able to teach other people how to do that for the 25 years beyond that, so that I made millions of dollars, been very, very blessed to do so. But what happened is, my life, my childhood, knowing how the relationship that teenagers and foster teens specifically have with the marketplace, nobody wants to adopt them, nobody wants to take care of them, so they end up on the streets. And then I was a chaplain at Folsom State Prison, doing prison ministries there, and you started recognizing that guys on the inside can change when they're surrounded with all of the right support programming and motives. And so watch many men transform and let God just really work in their hearts and let them become something different. So Opportunity Cities is us building sales teams and businesses and entrepreneurs and development for what we call the throwaway society. And that's aged out foster teens, that's ex-convicts who we call victors. And it's the up and coming children who we don't want to go to public schools. We want them to send to learning schools that teach them how to be entrepreneurs, solve problems, etc. And then really turn the throwaway society into the contributing members of society that they were destined to be. And that's what drives all of this.
Whenever you come to the salesperson will tell you, I know how to help you. We are having perfect solution for you. But in fact, you have a great product, you have a great offer, you know that you can help so many people, but yourself still inconsistent. Why it's like that? Because you misunderstand two basic principles. And let me tell you something, it's not economy, it's not war, it's not current president or political situation, none of that. Because simply you and money were always on the same planet Earth. You never left the planet, and most likely money never did it, right? The only two ways are the reason why it's like that. Number one thing, which can be the reason, is that you don't know the right way of presenting your offer. Number two can be that you don't know the proper way to whom to present it, which boils down to you don't know to whom to sell, or you don't know the right way to speak to the people to whom to sell. I have been scaling in the past 10 years multiple of my own companies and companies of my clients from $0 to $200,000 in sales, being in China, selling physical perishable items like food and beverages, and without speaking Chinese, without writing Chinese, and without knowing how to sell to Chinese people. But I knew one core principle, and this is that psychology of people never change. So I knew to whom to sell, and I knew exact way how to present my offer to them. I was scaling up my digital businesses to hundreds of thousands of dollars, again understanding two core principles: to whom to sell, so who can benefit from my offer, and the way, when, and how to present them my offer. And there is no magic and there is no secret behind that. It's really easy to understand it. But in order to this video be very short, I put all of this together in the school community, which is completely for free. You can join it right now, clicking on the link below in the description box, and you can discover these two principles. It will take you a couple of days to figure it out yourself and to practice it, and then your sales will become consistent. Until then, see you in the school community. Bye for now. That's awesome, and this is very inspiring mission. I must tell you that right from the opening you touched me. But listening to part of your story right here, and this is something we will be speaking a lot, and especially between the balance in between life and business, I would say that your childhood was a little bit of chaos. And I don't know, am I right in that? But I would like to ask, what belief about trust in people you had to unlearn in order to succeed in business?
Well, fortunately, growing up, I didn't, when you can't count on your parents, you tend to believe that you can't count on anybody because they're supposed to be the ones that take care of you. So I learned very young to be able to trust myself. So I had to learn how to assess, was I making a good decision, and how would I know? So I had to learn how to, essentially, I started putting KPIs in place when I was, when I was 10 years old, so I had to start recognizing, okay, if I do this, I get this kind of outcome. If I do this, I get that kind of outcome. And so that way, because that was the only way I could have that feedback. And then that started helping me grow my muscles of being able to trust myself to make the right decisions, to put myself in the right rooms, etc. And then you start recognizing that the more trust you bring to the situation, the more other people trust you. Which then,
because for me sounds that you was from the childhood or from teenage age building your decision based on data, good versus bad, not based on emotions, how they drive you and how you feel about that. And this is a very important difference and topic we're touching here because, myself, I grew up in an environment where we used to make decisions in my family. My father and mother make decisions based on money. Can we afford it or cannot we afford it? They never ask themselves, how can we afford it? And this is a big difference in my unlearning behaviors through the journey of entrepreneurship. So now I want to ask you, in that angle of you as a teenage making decisions and relying truly on yourself, was there anybody to support you through those decisions, or they were truly yours?
Most of them were, I made so many of my decisions through trial and error. I had to test and tweak. The people that I leaned on the most were my coaches in high school. I played baseball through college, and what I learned was that the harder I worked, the more I prepared, the better I played, the more my coaches appreciated me. So basically, I
Awesome.
equated it to love, right? Because I didn't have love at home. So I got loved by people by totally performing. And so then you start connecting the dots and lining up the dominoes, and you recognize that if you become a resource to them,
Mm,
then they want to invest more in you. And then those are the people who captured my attention. Then I started recognizing that my coaches are ones who they became my father figures. They became my leaders. They're the ones who looked out for me. My junior year in baseball, we actually won the section title that year and lost the state championship. And I couldn't play the second half of the season because I failed the class. My principal called me into the office, sat me down, and cried through tears coming down his face. He was so disappointed that I let him down. And it didn't even occur to me that anybody cared enough. But these were the mentors around. They saw me and they knew that I had something and that I just needed to work for it and that I could get what I wanted if I just put in the right effort. And when you have men like that you look up to and respect, who are so frustrated and heartbroken because of the punk knucklehead that I was being, they were concerned that I was costing myself opportunities. And you start realizing that there's other people who do care and you can count on them.
when then sales stop being just a survival and start becoming a service to you?
Um, it really became in the mortgage industry. So I had an alarm company in 1998, or all the way through the 2000s. In 2000, I got into mortgage, and in 2008, when everything went sideways and crazy, I was part of the reason that it went sideways and crazy because I ran a shop that we didn't really take care of people. We put them in loans that we got paid really well for. And those loans were not really advantageous. And we put a lot of people in bad loans they didn't belong in because we got paid really
Mm,
well to do it. And then when the mortgage industry went upside down in 2008, our whole business shut down because we didn't have a bank of business to lean on.
to
We
back
were just
up.
turn and burn. So I recognized at that moment that I had a skill set and a power that I had to start using for good instead of for my own gain. And so I was using all of my powers to be able to essentially manipulate people and move people into making the decision I wanted them to make. And now I've used the same skill set, but with a much different intention and using it
Mhm.
to help them make decisions for their best interest and recognize that I actually make more money doing that than I did by manipulating people for my own gain.
Very interesting. Is this the moment from where you realize that also people can change because you changed yourself?
Yeah, very much so. I've seen that my whole life. So one of the great gifts of the upbringing that I had is to recognize that number one, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And so I am the ultimate overcomer, but I'm nothing special. Everybody else is too. And so because I don't accept those excuses from myself, I also don't accept them from my clients or from my team or from my colleagues. So when you're in my world, you're going to win because I'm not going to let you not because I know you're capable of way more than what you're producing right now.
Very powerful, inspirational. And this is a true leadership. One of the things which I want very much to speak with you during this podcast. But going a little bit backwards, what's something in sales that the most people see tactical, but for you it's deeply emotional right now?
The sales conversation is probably the biggest piece. That's the place we spend the least amount of time because we build systems and structures and businesses. Sales is part of it. However, in the sales conversation itself, I think people believe that there's a certain way they're supposed to be. And the
Like a
reality is,
script.
yeah, you're just not. You're every single one of us has our own buyer fingerprint. We have our own sales fingerprint. And anybody who tells you this is the way to sell it, this is what you say, they're already wrong because you can have principles and frameworks, but you are designed to communicate with humans in a very specific way because that's how God made you. And I'm designed to communicate in a very specific way because that's how God made me. My job in the sales game is to help you just get to the greatest, truest version of you, not to strap a bunch of stuff on you. And everybody seems to think that if I add these scripts, if I add this process, if I add these words, it's like, I don't need to give you the words. They're your clients. They're your community. You know the words better than I do. I need to give you the right framework and the right thought process so that you can show up as the best version of yourself. Because that's what they're going to buy.
This is extremely powerful thing which you're speaking here, because we're witnessing that in the sales industry, especially online sales industry, everybody's offering scripts, blueprints, and other frameworks which truly might work and perform, but they will never outperform the human-to-human connection, especially now when we are touching AI and when we are getting detached due to that trend. When you're building a sales team for some company, how much you're relying on people and how much you're actually relying on scripts, tactics, blueprints, and all these data-driven things?
Well, all of it is important because if you're not, I would say don't be tone deaf, right? Tone deaf is someone who says, "Oh, I'm not going to worry about AI right now." It's like, you should probably think about it because it's a reality. What you want to be clear of is first and foremost, the most effective thing you're going to do is be the best version of you with your hands to support people. So if you and I were working one-on-one together, that's the best outcome I'm going to be able to give you. And then every time I take a step back and add system or team or process, I have to ensure that I'm not watering down the effectiveness as if I was there with you, right? So any AI, any automation systems and processes, they need to be tested first for effectiveness and then back towards efficiency, only as far as the effectiveness stays, right? So if you go all the way to efficient, you're going to lose effectiveness. And so you don't go all the way to efficient. You go only as far as you can to keep effectiveness in play, which means you may not be able to automate the entire process because you have to care about the outcome.
Very interesting. Tell me then, how much of a mindset play a role in leading sales teams and people to execute this on the best possible way to prove that it's workable?
Everything. Mindset is everything. 99.9% is mindset. People are always asking me, "Well, Jim, how would you say this? And how would you say that?" Or I'll say something and they'll go, "Well, hold on, repeat that. I didn't write that down." I'm like, stop trying to capture my words and you've got to capture my presence, my confidence, my certainty, the energy level that I put out, because that's what people are buying into. I can't tell you how many times I've sold something and people didn't even know what they bought. They just knew they wanted it because I showed them what's possible and they believed it.
Is this due to your charisma and tonality in your presence, or this is through you being very good in the certain words and certain points, leading them to feel certain things are in need in that moment?
That's a great question. It's really it is a combination of all of that. I'm the expert of my lane. Nobody does what I do better than in the world. And so when I can speak to sales and leadership, if you wake me up in the 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of a dead sleep, I can have this conversation because it's in my blood. And if you are the expert of your problem, then you should be obsessing over the problems and pains and struggles that your marketplace has, because you should be able to think of everything that they do and every way you can solve those problems. And when you do, it's just in your thought process, it's in your DNA, and it just comes out of you. So that's the first piece. And then the more charisma is just that. Charisma is competence plus confidence, right? Plus connection and warmth. So if you have competence, confidence, and connection, then that's the perfect intersection. And when all of that shows up, that comes out as charisma.
Where the confidence comes from then? From your knowledge that you know how to execute certain stuffs and your skills, or it comes from your past results?
It's definitely going to come from your results and your belief that you can get them. It's the beauty of it is it's earned. I'm not a fake it till you make it guy. I don't like that term. I don't, faking it till you make it to me is false, because you're not showing up real. Instead of fake it till you make it, do it till you feel it. And the good news is that anything you do that you planned to do, and then you put the effort in doing it, your subconscious gives you credit. You're like, okay, we just got to win. You just strengthen the muscle. Exactly. And so that could be anything. I could put on my calendar that I'm going to go for a walk this morning. I could put on my calendar that I'm going to go to the gym, or that I'm going to go give out some homeless gift bags. And then I go do it. It's not that I did it. It's not what I did that gives me the credit. It's the fact that I honored my commitment to myself. So all of a sudden my subconscious thinks I won. And it could be I won a race. It could be I climbed Mount Everest, or it could be I went on the walk that I said I would, because your subconscious only knows the energy you're giving it and the reality you put into play. So then you earn credit with yourself.
Very much love it. And you are actually repeating a lot of things which I have heard already from a lot of mindset guys, who, especially those ones surrounded around Bob Proctor and all this theory which he is saying, including Brian Proctor, his son, who I have pleasure to speak with.
I'll tell you, you want to hack. I'll give you guys a secret for how you instill confidence and certainty in yourself every day. And you should do this before you get on meetings, before you get on sales calls, interviews, whatever it's going to be. Go to your Google reviews, go to your Yelp reviews, print them out. I don't want you to just look at it. I want to print it out. Go to your case studies and testimonials, print them out, and then have them. Look, I'm maniacal about this stuff. I print this stuff out and I get them laminated. I have them here because I want to be able to pull them out anytime I need them, so that I can look at them and have them at the ready. And you read with your team, have your team read them. And it's Bob Smith just won with my solution. It's this client just made the biggest offer ever. This client just had a great deal. This project just exceeded capacity. This person gave us a 5-star review and said she would tell everybody she knows, right? And all of a sudden you're starting filling yourself with, yes, even though my company is a mess right now, I'm helping people. I'm changing their lives. I am actually doing what I was set out to do, but we don't see it because we're too busy looking at all the stuff that's broken, which makes us feel stupid and less than. And that's what we believe instead of believing that.
It's literally shifting our focus. And in that case, we don't need any affirmation ever except our own testimonials, which is beautiful.
100%.
Thank you so much for bringing this here, because this is a golden nugget right here on the point. And one thing most of us actually forget is that our testimonials are ours due to some feelings we provided to some client. But most of the times, all of us just put it on the website, put it on the funnel, put it somewhere and burn it there. Like, we even don't think about them. Imagine printing all those stuffs. Like, I can create a beautiful background, and that's a great idea. I'm so happy you bring this in here. But I want to ask you one thing, which is now a little bit confronting. Here's the thing. I believe that most of the people who create a great results and have a lot of certainty by the time can also create a lot of ego around themselves. Am I right or not? And can this ego sometimes cost us negatively?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. You don't want ego. You want to be able to check the ego. However, I have a mentor who who says, I love one of my favorite sayings from her. And she always says, leave humble at the door when you come here. Because when you're out in the world, you're going to do you. But when you're in a space like your community, when they're around you, they should leave humble at the door. They have to have the permission and the freedom in your world to believe the absolute best of themselves. Because from here is where you make great decisions. When you're down in the middle of the garbage and you're swimming in the soup, you don't make good decisions down there. So
Mm,
when our clients show up, I'm like, you guys do, you leave humble at the door. You got to own your credibility. You have to own, as I say, I have this sign on my desk here. It says my badassery. I can't even see it. My badassery has no limits, right? Because I have to remind myself every day that I'm damn good at what I do because that's what people need from me, right? You didn't bring me on here to go, oh, well, I'm kind of okay. And I know this. Like I'm trying to provide value. So I have to own it. And so you have to be in that place. But again, when you're so focused on your mission and your purpose and who you are, and when I obsess about your problems instead of mine, I now have the confidence to know that I'm best in class at what I do. I've got a track record that proves it, generated $500 million worth of results for our clients. What we do is not in question. And then combine that with obsessing about your problems. So I'm thinking about you instead of me. Now I can be in
beautiful.
that great place.
Jim, do you ever feel yourself, let's say, do you ever feel yourself in danger in the way that people always expect the best from you? And maybe in certain moments you feel yourself like, can I really provide and polish, crystallize that picture they already have about me?
I wish I had a better answer for that, but yeah, I deal with that all the freaking time. Um, I put so much pressure on myself because I do. I want to perform. I want to show up well, especially when people, we're a premium solution, and when people pay us, they pay us a lot of money, and I own that. And so I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about client solutions and clients' problems. I never woke up thinking about our own problems. And so I'm always looking to make sure that the reputation that we have is earned. And sometimes the challenge with that is that I can be so focused on ensuring that a great outcome comes in that I forgot to just be myself and let the right things occur. And sometimes I try to control something too hard. Like the old saying, like if you ever tried to squeeze a bar of soap, right? And the harder you squeeze it, it just squirts out of your hands, right? Sometimes that's what it feels like trying to put your hands firmer. Like if there's something broken in a business or in a client's campaign, and we're like, oh no, we got to fix it. And then I'm trying to squeeze it or trying to get my team to do it. And all of a sudden, the harder we squeeze it, the more broken it gets. And
Absolutely.
then I'm like, come on, we're trying to do this right. And I know what's driving me in the back is that my reputation's on the line and I don't want my reputation to fail. And the reality is we do way more things great than we do wrong. And sometimes, stuff wrong is just going to break and it's okay. We just fix it. And I have to be okay with that. And sometimes it's hard for me to take that and then I will beat myself up. And then I'm not myself, I'm not at my best again. And now you start becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy because then you show up at your worst, you're dealing with an issue. And my wife, we were just talking about that a bit ago. She's my partner in the business. And she's really good at compartmentalizing. So if there's a problem, she can put it over here and focus on what's going on. I'm not as good at that. When the problem is
Mm,
here, I want to solve it. I got to get it there. And part of it is because I'm the public facing image. And when something doesn't go right, I feel like, oh no, there goes my image. There goes my reputation. There goes my trust. And none of that's true, but that's the squirrel brain that comes in until I get it back on track.
yeah, and you seems to be so real and so honest in expressing those stuffs. And I want to ask you, when you train people to sell behalf of others, how do you build trust so deep that your clients let go of control?
Well, at the end of the day, it all comes down to results. As long as you can get the
Right.
results, we had a client tell us years ago. She said, "Look, I'm just going to micromanage you until I don't." And I
Mhm.
said, that's fair enough. That's reasonable. So when she was micromanaging, she started realizing, oh, every time I check on this, it's done right. Every time I check on that, it's working right. Every time I do it. So then she decided, okay, I don't need to check anymore because it's handled. I trust them. And so it's part of it is communication and expectation. It's ensuring that that when you bring people on, that they are a values match and a culture fit way before skill set. I don't care about the skill set until I know that they're a values match and a culture fit. We don't ever put people on a campaign that absolutely weren't thrilled about the opportunity to be on that campaign. If I had to convince you to get on this campaign, then you're not going to be the most effective person on that campaign. So we don't even want you there. And so we will say, hey, this is the client, this is their mission, this is what they do. And you're like, heck yeah, I want that. Then of course, when we connect you with the founder, they're excited because this person loves them and wants to sell for them, right?
Is this basically a checklist before somebody starts to work with you?
Yeah, for sure. We put them through an entire process. And a lot of it is just about consuming the brand. When you consume, if we were selling for you, we would consume everything NGrS&x, and the team would be able to speak your voice, your language, know about you. And believe it or not, that stuff sells way more effectively than your product. And I know in the SaaS lane and the technology lane, everybody gets really in love with their product. Everybody doesn't matter what the industry, but especially there, because everybody thinks that product demonstration is what's going to make it work. And it never is. Not until they're crystal clear on what the problem they have is and what's the problem is going to be solved by working with you. And if somebody's selling for you, it needs to be, this is the most amazing company. When our sales team, hey, when you're working with Jim and Cindy, your whole life changes. Just imagine what your life is going to be like when you are actually making sales without you being in the business. When you go on vacation and everybody else is free from their technology, but you have to bring your phone to the pool because somebody might be calling you. Instead, you get to leave your phone in the room and totally enjoy yourself. That's the kind of vacation weeks. That's what they build this business for. That's why they exist, right? And all this stuff. So they're not selling stuff. They're selling outcomes and experiences, and they're selling us and why we do what we do. And then people buy it, but you have to be sold out to that. And as
Beautiful.
a third-party salesperson, that's what you do.
Beautiful. And nowadays, when we're looking over the social media, so many people are able to just use their biography descriptions and to write CEO and founder. This is something what irritates me a lot, because most of the times I realize that people don't actually know what does it mean. They just write it because of hype. I want to ask you, do you give me a little bit of context? Working with so many people and changing their businesses, what are the typical lies they say to themselves in order to scale the business?
There's many. We're really good at fooling ourselves as founders. One is that we believe our business, our systems, our structures are better than they think they are. We believe that our leads are the best in class. We believe that our offer is the best. And the reality is almost all the time, the leads are not as good as they think they are. They're not segmented well. They're not taken care of well. Your open rates are poor. Your click-through rates are poor. And you don't have a great qualification process. And that's evidenced by, that people show up on a call with your sales team and they don't know who you are, which is not a bad thing. It just means you don't have a great qualification process, right? Those are things that all need to be fixed. Most people think that their offer is amazing, and it probably is. It's just that it's packaged really poorly, so your offer sucks. But you don't recognize that, because when you show up to sell it as the founder, you sell it because people are buying it from you, and you sell it with magic and with the dreams and the hopes and stuff. But if you have to be able to replicate the founder magic in your team and in your business, because you being able to sell is not the same thing as your business being able to sell.
Is this coming from us being that deep and rooted into what we're doing, so that we even will do everything to lie to ourselves in the way like, come on, how they don't buy it? It's a golden nugget here. And maybe we're too close to the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. We all are. And we tend to go one side or the other. We'll go back and forth between my stuff's the best or man, my stuff sucks, because you see problems and you're broken and it's in the middle of it, instead of just recognizing that it's exactly where it is today based on everything you've done for it previously. And it's all feedback. Just look at it and say, okay, what needs to improve so that they have a better knowing or a better experience of what I do and how I solve their problem. And it's a journey. And quite honestly, it's a never ending journey, because especially now with AI and technology changing as fast as it is, it means your business has to change all the time too, because you have to roll with it.
Good. Give me now context of next. I'm somebody who changed my offer over the time. Since I exited online in 2022, I changed my offer several times. And I wasn't always sure, is it the right time to change it? But I did it. So far, results can say that I was right. But tell me, what is the moment, the key moment where you say to yourself and to your team that it's time to change certain offers? How do you see that? Which results is giving you the best indicators that it's right time to change it?
I want to be careful on this one because I don't want people tweaking stuff, because most of the time people just start tweaking stuff and you tweak yourself into ineffectiveness. But you want to look at what problems are they experiencing that are in the way of them making a decision. So your offer should reflect the problems that they have. And many times, like for us, we solve sales problems. Many times they don't have the right lead flow. So that's a problem that needs to be solved usually before they hire us. And so we will pull things into play, whether we have tools, solutions, systems, strategies, and processes that will help you dial in your lead process or segment your leads better or have a better experience on the front end. So then we will either add that to our offer as a bonus, or we make it a standalone offer so that it can get you ready, right? Maybe sometimes your offer itself isn't that solid. So then we'll work on your offer on the front end. We're doing an offer rebuild workshop this week, matter of fact. And so we help people redesign their offer, mostly from the lens of how they position it and how they talk about it, and not about how they roll it out. I'm not as concerned with how many slides you use in your deck. I'm not as concerned with how many bonuses you add. I'm very concerned with how well you can talk about what you do in a way that's compelling and clear and confidence instilling in people, because that's what they're going to buy. And you can master all of the presentations you want. If you aren't coming from that lane of clarity, then you have a problem. So when things start changing, you just have to constantly be asking, break down your offers and solutions into minute steps. Because what I find most of the time is that most people's offers have like 2 or 3 offers inside of them. You have too much.
Too complex.
You're offering too many things. So split it into very simple outcomes and sell them as piecemeal if you want. And if you can give people the piecemeal option, and then they know if I buy all of it together, I save money. But you have to help them understand that your offer journey moves them through stages of problem, solution, right? But you're too busy trying to sell usually the grand piece, and they can't get there because they're still trying to solve the first problem to decide how do they work with you.
Considering that you're in the business, as you mentioned, since 1998, right? And that you have been selling on different ways to different people in different times. I want to ask you, how much average prospect changed over these 27 years so far? And is it now easier or harder time to sell when it comes to online internet sales?
Well, it's not harder, or it's just it requires a greater degree of presence and professionalism. It was, the last 10 years, quite honestly, it was pretty easy to sell. You didn't even have to be good at business. You didn't have to be good at selling. It was kind of a gold rush. And now,
I definitely agree with you.
Since COVID, it's eased up. It's tensed up a little bit. And now in the last couple of years with just the economy, the political environment, AI, the marketplace, there's a myth that the buyer is more informed, and they may be more informed, but they don't have more knowledge. They just have too much information, and they're really confused. Is more than
too
anything.
Much noise. Yeah,
totally. And they don't know how to make the decisions. They also don't know what's real and what isn't, because there's a new AI solution in front of people's face, not even every day now, multiple times a day, and people have no way to know what's the best decision to make. Because you have to remember this: the decision you're making, or the decision you're helping them make, you do it every day. This may be the only time in their whole life they've ever had to make this decision. So they don't have a criteria for it, and they don't know how to actually approach it. So they need you to be the one to lead them through that. So you have to keep that in mind. While they might have done some research, that research may have just given them some false information or just too much information and not a lot of trust. So you have to speak to them right where they are and make sure that they understand that you have their best interests at heart and that you are going to take the steps and the time to be with them on this journey, whether it's through your systems, your team, or yourself, so that they know that, guess what used to take one call, two calls, and a couple of opportunities might take you 3 or 4 calls, and it might take you a month, or it might take you 6 months. But you have to be the one to show them that you're going to lead them through this process. And then that's what starts instilling the trust in them. Every time you tell them something, it proves out to be true. And every time you say something, you show up again and you're there and you keep showing up. And you're not just a one-hit wonder that doesn't show up anymore because they didn't buy on the first call, right? So that's the stuff they need. And once they have that reassurance, they will part with their money because they need their problem solved. They just need to be very sure that you're the person to solve it.
Mm-hmm. And do you believe that nowadays prospect is more sophisticated than before? Overall, this
Yeah.
all years, yes?
Yeah, or at least they believe they are. I mean, I mean, you have to give everybody, think about the humans, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I watch my 4-year-old grandson grab an iPad and programs the lights in the house. He goes over to our house, he grabs the remote and he's changing and doing stuff like 4 years old. It's like I was still trying to figure out how to program my VCR when I was 25.
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't get that darn thing to stop flashing 12 midnight, right? But these kids, it's like everybody's advanced. So of course, today's buyer is more sophisticated. But again, don't confuse that with them being more savvy and knowledgeable, because that's not true.
Is it behavioral triggers in purchasing and making the sale happen in prospect? Did they stay the same or they also change over the time?
Well, that's going to really depend. That's going to vary product by product and depending on
Right.
your service. It's your job as the expert to know what is the trigger mechanism that's going to be what I call the intersection of problem and solution, where there's the greatest opportunity for that
Mm-hmm.
to occur. And then your job is to be there as close as possible to that intersection. Hell, maybe you even can create that trigger or find out how far ahead of that trigger you can get based on your ability to prime them for that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. Right? We have something working on right now. We're calling our product catalog. We have about 150 different tools and templates and resources. We're putting them all together, and we're literally creating a product catalog that is going to be digital, but that as people consume it, we're going to start sending them a physical catalog, just like we used to do with the Sears catalog. Because if my catalog is on your coffee table,
Yeah,
who is going to be the most likely person that you call when that happens?
absolutely.
The hard part is everybody's too busy trying to find the person who needs it now. That's tough. But if you
Yes.
can find more people who may need it later and put yourself in position to be counted on. We get catalogs here all the time, but there's only a couple that stay here all the time. My
It's
wife
all
loves
about
them.
it's all about positioning, and this is beautifully said. And I can feel it myself because I have been following certain people. If we go 2 years backwards, I have been following them for 2 or 3 years before I decided to pour significant amount of money to work with them, and it show up to be greatest decision ever. But it took me probably 2 years, not of building trust, but simply of finding the right time and the right position for myself to join their offers, because I was always challenging, maybe it's not right time because I'm not ready. And you're speaking
Yeah.
here something exactly on point. Let's go a little bit into the systems and scaling of impact, because you're expert in that and you're helping people consistently scale their companies. Once somebody hire you, you and your team, what is the first thing you're looking in the company, in the business, so that you can say, okay, we start from here? What's the usual beginning?
Typically, we're going to look at the pre, during, and post sale activities. We break them up into those categories. And we're going to look at just the continuity of the front end, the process, and the back end. And we have something that we approach that we call the 90-10 dilemma. And the reality is 90% of your sales are going to come on the back end of you meeting somebody. Just like you said, 2 years before you bought something from people. That's 90% of the market. Yet the entire online marketing world spends 90% of their time and effort on the front end, trying to get
Mm-hmm.
as many leads into the funnel as possible, trying to go from click to a high ticket offer, as fast as humanly possible. But 90% of your revenue is going to come from the back end. And the only
Yeah.
reason it doesn't for most companies is because they don't do anything about the back end, because they're busy spending 90% of their time and their money and their company resources on the front end. So we look at lining all of that up first. So what happens? What are all those people that are coming in the front end? How did they come here? What did they come here for? What was their experience along the way? And then how watered down was the message, because you try to put them all into one major sequence. And the reality is you have to be able to segment them in as many clean ways as possible. We have buckets in our company, and we put in with our clients, so that we have some buckets in our CRM that have 33 people in it, because 33 people opted in for this thing. So then there's times we will send only messaging to those 33 people about that thing. And if they didn't ask to be on our list, they don't get messaged for
Mm-hmm.
stuff for the list. Right. And then we have other buckets that have 2,700 people on them, and other buckets with 87 people on them. And it's hard work, because we have to put out specific messages to people and treat them differently. But then what happens is you can have a smaller list and have robust relationships with these people, and they will provide success and acceleration for your company in ways you had not ever thought of, because the person who's easiest to sell to is the person who's already bought from you. And the next easiest person is the person who has already registered, shown up, gotten value, gotten what they thought they were going to get, more importantly, and they're still here. That person is way more valuable and costs you less than going out there and trying to find yet another person that you have to prove yourself to.
It turns out that nurturing is very important in any matter
Extremely.
of that word. When it comes to nurturing, and when it comes to building a long relationships with clients, when do you feel it's the right time to make significant offer to them? Is it some template so that you know, like, okay, we gave them so many times in the past, probably now is the right time? Or you actually have established a certain process how you go step by step and you gradually give higher and higher offers?
Yeah, well, you as the expert, again, you know what specific pain points or the trigger opportunity, and then what you want to do is just make sure you're always looking for behaviors and proximity. That's the thing we're always looking at: behaviors and proximity. We do a very simple process that we call ABC, ABC in your list, and the A's are the people who've taken the ideal behaviors in the most recent amount of time. The
Mm-hmm.
B's are the people who have maybe taken those behaviors, but longer ago, maybe 6 months ago. And then the C's are the people who haven't yet taken those behaviors, but they're still watching. They're still opening emails. They're still in the conversation. You have to treat all of those people differently. You can't put the same offer in front of those people. But when they're taking those behaviors, you want to put things out there that will test them. You can put a video out as an example, and the people who watch the video just took that behavior. So you'd say you put out that video to 1,000 people, and 127 of them watch the video. They now become A's. Those people you call, you put a human on them and call. The people who have not yet watched it or didn't watch it and respond, those people are the B's. So you don't give them the same invitation. You give them something else to watch or another
Mm-hmm.
resource, right? So that you can give them the opportunity to consume it and take the next action. The people who are the C's haven't responded yet. So you don't ask them for anything. You just give them something else to watch, something else to consume. Let them prove that they're actually interested and committed to solving the problem before you deploy resources on this person and try to sell them to something that they haven't even demonstrated that they're interested in solving.
Mm.
Right? So give them the behaviors, and you can create those sequences all the time. And then every time you put that out, you now have your team or yourself that's fielding the people who respond. And sometimes it can be very simple as that. You could put out an email and say, reply if you want to know more. If 87 people reply, those are your A's, right? Those who didn't reply, you send them something else. Wait till they do reply.
That's interesting because it gives you a lot of segmentations until you come to the point to keep making the offers.
Yep,
And
totally.
this is something most of us try to overlook because we're literally trying to skip all those steps and to pitch for the sale. When it comes to sales, in the social media, on the social medias, all of us who are leveraging social media for our businesses, do you still believe that sales are easier to close through DM conversations with people, or they request certain events? And how your expertise shows from all these years, where do you see the most leverage right now?
Um, we're really just going all in on the human side of things. We want,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be just as human as you can be. And if you're going to have conversations in the DMs and not talk to people, that's fine, but make sure they understand that you are here for them and that this is a unique conversation with a unique human. Because right now, at the moment they sense that it's not, they're done. They're not interested. And they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to feel like you've deployed a robot to them. They're okay with AI, some people, especially in chat versus phone call more. But you want to make sure that you're giving them you're speaking to them on in the native language. So you don't send an email through a DM because that's not the native language. Like people do this a lot. You say, like, "Hey, we have a workshop coming up on Wednesday. It's called the offer rebuild." So if you want to make sure you are putting offers in front of people that are compelling and interesting so that they will respond to you and then pursue you, then register for the event. Here's the link. Let's go. That's great for an email. That's awful for a DM or a text. First, we have to be, are you looking to improve your offer? Do you have an offer that gets the results that you want all the time? Let them respond.
Yeah.
Right? Right. And if they say yes, tell me how. Tell them, how do you know that? What kind of metrics do you have around that? How do you define that? And if they don't, they say, great, what are you going to do about it? Are you interested in solving it? And if they are, great, would you be interested in knowing how can help you solve that with something we have happening on Wednesday? And then if they say yes, and I say, great, I have a link of registration that I can share with you. Is it okay to share it with you? And if I do, will you watch it? And then they say yes. And it's like it's piece by piece. You now have six back and forwards. They are now connected to a human, or at least an experience. They're invested in it. So their likelihood of actually clicking on the link and registering are far greater
But
versus
in
just
that
sending it.
but in that way, you're having maybe lower amount of attendees, but way more qualified because they clearly know what's going to happen. Like this comment keyword, I send you link, you go on the link and you subscribe for the
Yeah.
webinar event. Most of the people are coming confused. They don't know even what it's going to be about. And I love
Yep.
what you're speaking right here on. Can you tell me, out of all your experience from all the years, is there a price point which plays significant role? Will this sale be closed on the call or in the chat or on a group call selling one to many? And is there any relation between price points of the offer and the way you close that sale?
It's interesting because those lines are starting to blur a bit more today because we're seeing offers at $50,000 sell over text or DM. And then we're also seeing people have to get on a call to sell a $97 item. So it's more to do with what kind of positioning do you bring? Because the better positioned you are, the more clear it is that you are the expert of the problem you solve and that you know what you're doing. Then people aren't looking for you to prove yourselves to them. They want to know how you can help them. And so that's a conversation that can happen over email or a DM, or through somebody on your team versus somebody who doesn't know you. If somebody doesn't know you, they're not likely to buy a $97 thing from you until they've seen that you have a credible set of expertise and some trust that they know that you're going to be the person to solve it. So that's really the biggest differentiator. So I put all of our time into my time is all spent in in building trust and credibility in the marketplace. I do about 200 interviews a year on my podcast, on others. I speak on stages. I work on partnerships and collaboration all the time, so that everywhere I am, we have credibility. I don't come to any conversation where I'm not positioned as an authority, which
Mhm.
makes selling a lot easier,
Absolutely.
right? 'Cause I don't have to
Because
prove anything to them.
because you're findable and people can
Yes.
see you here and there and they can say, oh, that's that Jim. Oh, that's this the same guy who was here and now I'm seeing him here. Absolutely makes a lot of sense. Can you tell me what's the pain the people most care on the sales calls? Is this a fear of spending money, or this is a fear of them expressing their real pain in the offers and the business they have?
Yes to both. Fear of spending the money is usually going to be related to their lack of certainty, either about you or about the clarity around the problem. Because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, if they're not crystal clear what the problem is, then they're not really clear what the solution is. So they have no way to know if your problem or if your solution will be the right solution.
So it
So
blends
clarity
literally
is the
in
key.
their awareness, right?
Yes, you have to get them crystal clear around it. And you have to, it is your job to make sure that they are very comfortable and safe to understand how they can share with you. Because if you can't share with me the truth of your situation, I have no way to know if I can help you or not. And so and the hard part is most people don't want to look stupid around money, around sex or relationships or intimacy, around business. People don't want to just admit, man, I really screwed this up and I don't know what I'm doing because they're too worried about looking bad. And so you can't just take stuff at face value. It's your job to be as present and focused as humanly possible with them. And so that they can feel the ability to sense your clarity and your expertise, and you have to be like you have to fine tune that's your greatest gift as a leader, is to be able to be present and sense what's happening with people, so that the way I define it is my presence is your permission
Mm.
to be able to pursue your dreams. Right? If my presence is anything but that, we're going to have a problem. So I have to be able, I don't want to intimidate people. I don't want to be like, look at me, I'm bigger and badder than you. I have to show up as the person who can set them free.
Very, very nice. And I love this value you're picking up for yourself to lead the business and to help people towards that. And you yourself, being for so many years in the sales business, have you ever felt burned out or ever felt the turn point moment where you said, it's enough, I want to change? And what kept you going forward and staying in the same business?
Yeah, man. The one advantage that I have that a lot of people don't is my wife is my business partner, and together we are both pretty high capacity, man. When you work with us, you get a huge volume of expertise and credibility and experience. And so anytime one of us has one of those moments, the other one just pulls the other up. My wife has tried to hand her resignation to me probably 5 times over the last several years, and I decline it. I'm like, nope, you ain't quitting. You're in this with me. And but she on her own, she might have been like, I'm going to go do something else. Um, but then you have to recognize, why are you here? What's in this? And if you have a profitable business model, I know I get tired of people who try to make excuses about not making money important. When people say money doesn't buy happiness. Well, no, but it sure buys a lot of the things that help make life easier. And if you don't have a money set point that's high enough that allows you to accumulate enough of it to make enough difference so that you will have joy and fulfillment because you're helping people, then you're always going to work your ass off and get very little pleasure out of it. So you have to take the responsibility and the duty to make a profitable business model so that you can then use that money to enhance life, ideally for others, which will enhance life for yourself. And then you'll recognize that there's something to fight for here. But if it's all about you, then it's going to be a lot easier to quit and have those moments where you're just frustrated.
Is your wife your best supporter?
She is most of the time. She's also my biggest
That's
critic.
beautiful.
So
That's beautiful to know. And if there is a message you want to leave to all people who are holding the business or leading the businesses right now and going through ups and downs, what would it be from the point of personally to themselves and professional as well?
you have to remember that what you do matters, and your gifts were given to you for the benefit of others. And it is your responsibility to hone your craft in a way that can get that gift in front of as many people as possible so that you can be self-actualized, for lack of a better term, and recognize that every single problem around you is nothing but an opportunity waiting to be seized. And if you don't, somebody else is. So just ask yourself, why not you? And go make it happen, because it is your responsibility, and you're right. And, hey, I roll with Jesus. I know God put me here for a reason, as he did you. And if you don't seize those moments, he will bless somebody else. But if you're taking action on those things, all the blessings going to come to you. So trust yourself, trust that you're in the right spot. You have been born for a time such as this.
That's very beautiful. And if your kids only inherited one value from you, what would you like to this be?
The thing that has blessed me the most has been my ability to see greatness in everybody.
That's
It's an
beautiful.
incredible gift. I would love for them to be able to experience that.
That's beautiful, Jim. Thank you so much for this conversation. It was truly inspiring.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Love seeing what you guys are up to, and change some people's lives. Take action, make big impact, make a lot of money.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
All right.